On planet Earth, there is a very distinct relationship between life and death. Many times when you think about the cycle of life, you think about the big picture. You think about being born, living, and then dying. And the constant movement of souls coming to planet Earth and souls leaving planet Earth. But what is the energy that sustains life? How do you sustain your body, your mind? We all know that we have to eat to sustain our shape, our physical home on this planet. And most of the time we do not think about what eating actually means. Eating is the transition of life force from one living organism into another. The problem that we have in our days is that we have created things that we eat that are without life force. So-called foods that have never been alive in any form. They might help us to keep living and moving, but they are not full of life. And when you think about this further, you find what some people, and I would say probably most of us, will find very cruel. But that is nature. So when we talk about the cycle of life and death, we talk about something that is very much present in our everyday life. It doesn't matter if we consume meat or fish, eggs or plants. They all are living organisms in a way. They have life force in them. Some people make a distinction between eating animal-based foods and plant-based foods. It's easy to think about that when I eat vegetables, plants, that nobody needs to be actively killed. But in preparation of growing plants, actually many animals are killed. When you grow crops, you have to prepare the field. In the field and around the field, on the field, are many animals living. Also, you have largely forests around fields. Very often you have birds, you have rabbits, you have deers and so on living in the forests around the field. So not only when you prepare the field, people, animals, living creatures getting killed, but also when you use pesticides, you actually poison the environment for those animals, but also you poison your food. So that is a problem. There's a huge dilemma on this planet because we cannot truly live in a physical body without consuming life force, whether it be in plant form or in animal form. When you harvest crops or plants, fruits, vegetables, in the state when they grow, they are plugged in to their mother, to the earth, to the plant that grows those fruits. When you unplug them, in that moment, you cut them off from the life force that has created them. It's the same with animals. When you kill an animal, you cut it off from the life force. And in that moment, we often think that people who eat meat, they eat dead flesh. That's not entirely true. But in both cases, whether plant or animal, there is the life force present. There is nutrients that nourish. But in the moment you harvest the plant or you kill the animal, the process of decay has started. So of course, both in the end will decay. So it doesn't matter if you eat a plant or an animal, they are both actually, in a way, they become dead at some point as the nutrients get transformed into decay, basically. So it is a harsh reality to understand that life on planet Earth cycles its energy through life and death, through the consumption of life force from one being into another. And it really doesn't matter how we decide on our diet, whatever we eat. In the end, to really thrive and to sustain our bodies, we need to consume another organism's life force. Otherwise, if we eat foods that we have created that have never been alive, we will not thrive. We will have a lot of illnesses, sicknesses, not only in the body but also in the mind. When you create life force and you consume life force, you are in close relationship with life and death always. And that makes you humble, because you understand that you are part of the cycle, and at some point you will die, you will decompose, you will be the food for the worms in the earth. It is a cycle. There is another problem that has to do with the consumption of food and sustaining our life force, which is that whether we eat plant or animal, in our day and age, the food industry is all about the money. So we create all those foods, we grow and harvest, we hunt and kill, and we have leftovers. We are not only facing the problem that we have to kill living organisms to sustain ourselves. We have also the problem with having too much, taking too much from nature. And it seems like on this planet we have no choice than to take in life force from other organisms to sustain ourselves, but we do have a choice in how we do that, how we go about sustaining ourselves. How do we grow crops and plants? How do we grow animals? What kind of life do they have? And when to kill animals and plants? What do we produce? What do we consume? You know, they back in the day would consume the entire animal. And I think that was not only because of nothing else being there to consume, so they needed to do that, but also because they understood that a living creature had sacrificed their life for them. So honoring the life of whatever living organism you choose to consume is a big part. And I think we often do not think about it because it's said in a way that we have to do that. It is not something joyful, but it's a necessity, and we often think that we don't have a choice. In our days, we are not gathering our food, we're not hunting our food ourselves. Rarely, some people do, but rarely the majority doesn't do that. We go in grocery stores and we buy our things. And very often, not only in grocery stores, the foods get bad, so they have to throw them away, but also in our fridges. How many people buy stocking up their fridges with a lot of food that they in the end throw away? Yeah, I think it might be on place to recalibrate our understanding of how life force moves on this planet and what is our part in this ecosystem, in the transition from life force from one being into another, and understanding our place in this world from this perspective. You cannot choose how the body functions. You cannot choose how nature functions. There are mechanics at work that are just embedded into the cycle of this planet. But we can understand our place. We can try to understand our intense relationship with everything around us, the trees, the rocks, the animals, the plants, other human beings. And based on that, we can do better decisions for the future. But neglecting and denying that we live from the life force of other organisms is not an option, not anymore.